Hi, my name's Jennifer Hamrick. I'm a student at University of South Alabama in EDM 310. And today we're going to talk with Krista Pottiger. She is a first grade teacher at Allentown Elementary in Sims, Alabama. She is in her 15th year of teaching, and she is a graduate from the University of South Alabama. She received her undergraduate degree and her master's degree from South. One of the reasons I wanted to talk to Ms. Pottiger is a couple years ago she was chosen to be on the math textbook committee as they were in the process of making the switch for the new core standards. So what exactly is a textbook committee?
Well, the textbook committee they choose teachers from all the different schools, from different grade levels, and everyone gets together and sits with the grade level, each grade level. And we go through all of the standards, and we have to go through all of the textbooks that are up for adoption, and we go through to make sure that they align with the standards. And we have papers that we have to fill out on every single book. We have to put the page numbers for every standard, and just to make sure it's covered. And then we can talk with teachers who are, experts at their grade, and we decide if it's appropriate for our students and if it, meets all the necessary requirements for the standards.
Is there one for every subject, or is it just the math and the English, since that's the two new ones?
There's one for every subject. I was only on the math textbook committee, but they have them whenever there's any textbook is up for adoption. There is always a textbook committee.
How did you get picked to be on the textbook committee? Were you appointed to it?
Yes.
Did you volunteer for it?
I did not volunteer. I was appointed by my principal. After speaking to her, she told me she thought that I might be up for change, and she thought that this would be a good opportunity for me to go in there and become familiar with the Common Core as we were getting another textbook. So it would kind of give me an edge, because I would know it was coming along, because we didn't implement it until the following year. So it just gave me a preview.
Okay.
And so I thought that would be a good reason to do it.
How long does it take to
we were
review a textbook or pick a new one out?
We probably we had so many meetings. It was during the school day. It was once every couple months, I believe, and we all got together and we talked about what we found, went through every single textbook. It took a very, very long time.
You had to do this outside of school,
yes,
obviously, too.
Yes.
So you spent a lot of evenings.
Yes, there were maybe 6, I can't even remember how many, but there were at least six different textbooks that were up for adoption. And the reason we were adopting textbooks is because we had the old ones for a very long time, and then the Common Core was coming through, and they hadn't decided if they were going to do the Common Core yet, but they were trying to implement pieces, and they were hoping that it was going to go through, and it did. But that's why we started getting a new textbook.
Speaking of the new standards, why did they go with the new ones? Do you even know, or?
Yes. Well, everybody's known for as long as I've been teaching that the standards that we had before were very broad. It was just they had to know a gazillion things. It was just like a little about this, a little about this, a little about this, a little about this, and then every year was, you have to do a little bit of review, and it was just too much. Mm-hmm. And the new, it just goes. They have a deeper understanding with the new Common Core. The standards there's fewer standards, so the children actually master the skills instead of just touching every one and having to move on. So they have more time to truly understand each concept.
Now, last year was the first year it was implemented, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And as a first grade teacher, how did that affect your class last year? Because they were obviously taught one way in kindergarten, and then you had to start teaching a whole nother way in first grade.
It was very hard. The first year, people didn't like me very much because I was on the textbook committee, and they weren't really thrilled with the new, the way it went through. And I was telling them that I went, at the committee meetings that I spoke to, the people who piloted the program, and that it really worked well for their students. And she said that it was wonderful. So I believed her, and after going through the textbook, I really agreed. So they didn't like it, but the first year was really, really hard.
So what have you noticed for the first graders that have come in this year who started with the new standards last year?
The kindergartners that started last year have a true understanding of numbers. They can compose and decompose numbers like I have never seen before. Students that, I have a little autistic boy in my class, and when we were making numbers, this was probably the first or second week of school, we were showing ways to make numbers. And I said, what's a way that you make 10? And some of the kids were doing, 5 and 5 and 4 and 6, and he came up with 3 and 2 and 1. 7 and 2 and 1. And I was completely blown away that he actually knew that there were other ways, not just with 2 add-ins, but more than that. And I had never seen anything like it. And then everybody could see the second year, when we were doing it the second year, how wonderful it was.
Well, I want to thank you very much for sitting and talking with me. Sounds like there's a lot of information to learn here, and I appreciate you taking the time to sit and talk. Thank you.